mean, when I started as an intern at Treyarch, we were sort of given a choice to do PvP or Warzone design, and I tried. We had to do both to get a taste of it. And PvP, man, stressed the balls out of me. Like
Mm-hmm.
trying to
Mm-hmm.
do 6v6 multiplayer like COD design at Treyarch, like it was cutthroat. It's tough.
Mm-hmm.
Like managing sight lines and all that stuff, like it's not easy. It's very easy. It's easy to screw it up, but it's
Oh
hard
yeah.
to get it. It's hard to get it
Yeah.
feeling right. It was amazing how challenging that was. So I immediately was like, I don't know, this is a little too hard. Like I really liked the Warzone stuff because it's more wide open. It's you can get shot from any direction, so the level design, it's like a playground. It's much more free, more breathable. So I just gravitated towards that. Maybe in hopes of someday wanting, I would kill to work on something like a Skyrim or
Oh yeah.
any one of those games that I dream of, so or that I've just enjoyed so much in my life. But it was really fun working on Warzone.
Yeah. Can you kind of talk about, I guess, the biggest differences? So, kind of biggest differences between working on a giant map, maybe like Warzone and those individual areas, and then working on like a specific 6v6 map. Like, what are the challenges that come with each, and how do they differ? Because I think people think, oh, PvP, well, Warzone's PvP, but I don't know if you know the size of Warzone. That map is huge,
Yeah.
so it's definitely a different experience. So, can you kind of talk about the differences between those two?
Yeah, I think outright Warzone is just easier. Like it's just not as difficult
Mm,
because the player can be shot from any direction. Um, the player, what we're trying to do, I guess the hardest thing in Warzone is to communicate a consistent vocabulary of geometry to the player that they can learn and discern and then leverage. Wow, that's actually, did I just make a three-letter acronym for that?
there you go.
LOL. Yeah, it's like it's if the different points of interest are so unique, right? Like an airport versus a shopping mall versus a theme park or something, can the player understand that we are trying to tell them, hey, you want to get up high? Like, here's where the stairs are. Here's a building you can go up in. We had to reuse a lot of assets in a lot of different areas, so it's a lot of creativity of reuse, while also making the space feel different. You have to sort of work with somewhat limited resources because we can only have so many unique buildings loaded into such a massive map. So like working in the downtown of Verdansk, when I was the designer responsible for its destruction in
Mm,
season 6, and it was so fun to like pick and choose what buildings we were going to get rid of, in and out of there. But there's a level of just freedom, still, that you just get to sort of play in like a sandbox as the designer, as long as you can make the player understand in sort of broad strokes. Okay, I'm safe if I go into this building or behind this building because it's going to let me go up high. This is a building where I only use this stairwell or an elevator shaft. This is a more, unique building that I can actually explore and, investigate individual rooms and things like that. This is just a warehouse, but I've seen them before. There's usually cover or a truck in there or something. So it's a vocab, right? It's can the player learn to identify these things quickly? Whereas in a 6v6, there is still a universal vocabulary of like, this is a corner, this is a power position, right?
mm,
The thing that I found the most tedious and most difficult to balance and execute well in a 6v6 is the time to engagement. So both players, especially on an asymmetric map, when they're spawning, they're navigating unique geometry on two different sides, but they have to get to a center engagement area, and be able to fight each other, right? Like, how long does it take to find somebody in this damn map so I can have a firefight? And then, how do you make sure one team, if they're both taking the shortest main routes to get there in those engagements, like the shortest possible engagement, is it fair for both players without making it the same exact geometry? Because then it's
mm,
boring, right? Like maybe it's this very decorative, fancy fountain. They might be coming in from a down stairwell, whereas the other player's coming up from a stairwell. Does one get to peek out and shoot the shoes of the other as they're coming down the stairs, right? There's all kinds of tricks like that, that become really, I mean, that's a high art. And the people that do that job, man, they are wizards. I really, really respected that department. I think in some sense they were probably just the better designers. Like I don't think I was a good enough designer then to do that. Even now, it would really be difficult to, polish those muscles and exercise those skills. But it's just challenging. That's the main thing for me. I think flow in a map like that is tricky. It depends a lot, as well on, is it a three-lane map? Is it a bigger map? I really like, maybe that's why I became a Warzone designer, because I really liked the more chaotic older maps. Like COD World at War had like CeeLo, which is a huge open field map, right, where there's like a train in the middle. I loved Overgrown in COD 4 or Wasteland in MW2. And Treyarch really, really strayed away from those kind of maps since World at War. I literally remember being in the office when there would be meetings talking about how players love Shoot House. They love Shipment,
Mm.
right? They love Nuketown. I'm close friends with the guy who made Nuketown. Great
Oh wow,
man,
no way.
great guy, great designer. Yeah, his name's Adam West. Awesome guy. Really, 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 really brilliant designer. He also made Raid. He's made all kinds of brilliant maps. But yeah, like players just obsess over the smaller maps, which I think just poisoned the gameplay design over time as well.
Yeah.
Because then it just became Twitch shooters, right? It just became super zippy, reactionary, super short time to kill. Like I don't prefer that myself. I like drawn out firefights, closer to Halo, but obviously COD's never been fully like Halo, but something closer to that in the old days felt like I could use the mechanics. I could hear my gun, I could throw my grenade. Whereas now it's just like dead, right? Like it's so
Yeah.
quick. You just don't get to savor the firefights as much anymore, in my opinion. So, but you have to design for that, right? Like at the time
Yeah.
I was trying to learn, it was like the tail end of Black Ops 4 and having to use those tools to make a 6v6 map. Like man, it's tough. Like it
Yeah.
has to be believable. It has to be historical. Like there's so many markers you have to hit just right. Whereas Warzone, yeah, you're still looking at historic references for architecture, but it doesn't matter as much where the players are coming to or from in that space. It's just if and when they get in that area, if they get shot from anywhere, is there cover for them, right? In the moment to moment gameplay, if I get shot from a rooftop, where do I take cover? Is there a truck? Is there a shipping container? Is there a door I can dive into? That was just significantly easier to me than the hard structure of a 6v6. So
Yeah.
it's a high science for sure.
No, that totally makes sense. Yeah, because Warzone, much slower gameplay, and so you don't have to. There's not gonna the likelihood that 12 people are gonna be in one location is probably pretty small.
Yeah.
Whereas, yeah, like Nuketown, everyone is everywhere all at once. Um, yeah, I mean, I guess the most popular weekends were always the 24/7 Nuketown weekends because it's
Yes.
just like, oh, I need to get my kill streaks. I need to get my calling cards and stuff like that. And yeah, it's definitely fun, but like you were saying, it takes. I think so many shooters now are becoming way more fast paced. With I think the battle royale genre is like although they have giant maps, it's like the time to kill is increasing or player reward is increasing in some way, and you're really losing out on like strategic play. And even Call of Duty, I think, has it's always been a little bit about just getting in there and killing people, but there was always some sort of strategy, whether it was how to engage a specific area. You couldn't just go in there with maxed out gun and win every firefight. You still had to position yourself correctly.
Yeah.
And but now with a bunch of attachments and a new class system, it's changed things a little bit. But yeah, I can just imagine designing a 6v6 map it seems much more technical
Yeah.
than designing like a open map. Were there any maps you were kind of studying to try to mimic?
I mean, I had that old school flair just because those are the maps I grew up on. So I tried to. The hard part is that the directors and the lead designers at Treyarch are so good at what they do. They're so excellent that their minds are sharp and they're big personalities too. Not that they're big egos, but they're big personalities. And like you got to convince people, you got to sell people that your idea is worth a damn. And so
Mm,
trying to use designs from older games that they feel they've evolved from, right? And that the market has evolved from was a tough sell. It's like I liked Castle from World at War. I liked Backlot from MW2 and other maps like that. Skid Row on MW2 was excellent as well. There's a lot. Like Jungle on Black Ops 1 was so
yeah.
fun.
Mm,
Just classics. But it was hard because it's like there were serious problems that those level designers could articulate about those maps, even though I had, consumer nostalgia goggles to enjoy those maps through. I was like, yeah, the second they start describing what's wrong with this map, I get it. But at the same time, I would still argue that the newer maps that they claimed were an evolution of the art form, I found to be sterile
mm,
and boring or stiff or predictable, in certain ways. I like chaos. I like messing with players a lot. And they didn't. They were more handholdy for players because I mean you could argue the base of people that play Call of Duty aren't necessarily into more complicated, puzzle oriented,
Mm,
difficult
mm.
scenarios. They maybe just like to run and gun, as politely as I could possibly put it. Um, so I was discouraged from making things like that. But if in Warzone, you had way more freedom to be more chaotic, more crazy, because players could take a wide berth around an area that they weren't interested in engaging with. So yeah, it was nuts, man. I mean, I was just sort of a stickler. I wanted to imitate that fun that I had when I was a kid, when I was a younger kid. So I always went backwards, further than they probably would have liked. So
Mm,
yeah,
mm.
COD 4, World at War, and MW2 were really sort of like what I think were the ultimate Call of Duties for a long, long time. That's usually
Yeah.
where I would sort of cherry pick from.